talk about money. Our beliefs about money is what limits money from flowing into our experience. Money in and of itself is not good or bad. It's a tool, just like a hammer is a tool. It's a tool which enables your freedom in this current society which we have at this current moment. You cannot be in the attitude of lack, of need of money, and attract money into your experience. Therefore, you must find a way to vibrationally step into the idea and the feeling space of what it might be like to feel like you have abundance and like wealth in order to attract money into your experience. As far as the universe is concerned, it is as easy to manifest millions of dollars as it is to manifest 1 penny. That's because our idea of manifestation and our idea of what is big versus what is small is what limits our own abilities to manifest what is big versus what is small. You can amass a fortune, and that takes just as much energy for this universe as it does to manifest a penny. So it's your beliefs about what's big and what's not so big, what's out of reach and what's in reach, that is preventing you from getting the very things which you see as big. I have a lot of people that meet with me that say that money, by nature, is materialistic, and therefore not spiritual. This could not be farther from the truth. Everything you see around you that's physically manifested is an extension of source energy. So money in the financial system is also an expression of source energy. It does not have to be your enemy, and you do not have to deny yourself of money to live a spiritual life. They do not have to conflict. This is an infinite universe, which means that there is no limit to the abundance which every single being on this planet can receive. You are not taking from anybody when you get wealth, and you likewise cannot get poor enough to make someone else richer. In order to attract money into your experience, you must replace your negative and limiting beliefs relative to money. In the previous week's episode, I talked about how to replace a belief. So really, the most important part of walking into a space of attracting more money into your experience looks like finding out what your limiting beliefs about money are and replacing them with beliefs which would benefit you. There's an idea prevalent within the society, which is the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. The reason is not because of competition. There is absolutely no competition for resources in an infinite universe. The reason that the poor get poorer and the rich get richer is because with poor people, they're born into environments which have a lot of attitudes and beliefs about money which don't benefit them and don't invite finance. And by focusing on those realities and by focusing on those beliefs, they then manifest more and more evidence which prove their own lack of abundance to them, and then their manifestations get bigger. That is why the poor get poorer. It has absolutely nothing to do with what you are blaming it on. The rich get richer because they are born into environments that are aware of their own abundance. There is no question about what they are entitled to. They don't have thoughts that limit them relative to money, and so regardless of how much they lose or gain, their attitudes are so good so that they always have abundance. This is why someone like Donald Trump can gain and lose his fortune 1,000,000 times, and you really don't see the stress manifested in his situation. It's because his attitude relative to the subject of money is pure enough that it is always flowing into his experience. Nobody else is responsible for your abundance. Nobody else is denying you your abundance. No one is taking you from it. No one is holding it away from you. You are the one that is preventing abundance and money from flowing into your experience. You are doing it with your beliefs relative to money, your feelings relative to money. You cannot feel poor and get rich. I'm going to help you out by giving you 12 steps which will help you to manifest money into your experience. 1. Spend more time focusing on abundance than you ever do on lack. You must work your way into the vibrational vicinity of feeling like you are abundant already, feeling like you have wealth and blessings already, for you to attract money into your experience. The best way to do this, I think, is by focusing on gratitude. If you are in the vibration of gratitude, what that is pure, positive appreciation for the things which are in your life already. That is the exact vibration of abundance. So if you're focusing on gratitude every day, you are opening up the wellspring of abundance to have money flow into your experience. When it comes to gratitude, the better it gets, the better it gets. The more you're thankful for, the more flows into your life to be thankful for. And if we're going to be completely honest, money isn't really what we want. It's the things that money helps us get. So if you're focused on those kinds of blessings, money or not, they will flow into your experience. We could extend this gratitude a tiny bit farther. You could do a visualization where, let's say that you get paid, and on payday, you save $100 of that in a bill. And then every single day, you lay down on your bed, and you hold that money in front of you, and you put yourself in the space of feeling pure gratitude for that $100 bill. That will help you to invite money into your experience. 2, visualization. You have to visualize what you want. Visualize what you want to do with your money. Get as elaborate and as detailed as you possibly can. And you want to think about why you want these things, because the universe responds to why, and the universe responds to what you want to do with the money more than it does your idea about money. Your brain has no way of telling what is real and what is visualized. Those are the same thing to your brain. So when you visualize, you want to get super, super elaborate with it. So let's say that what you want to do with your money is buy a new house. You want to visualize what it will feel like to walk into that new house, what every aspect of that house will look like, what it'll smell like, what it will feel like against your hand. You want to visualize it with such intensity that you have to remind yourself when you come out of that visualization where you are. Your visualizations and visualizing what you want relative to money has to be believable for you. A lot of people go wrong with this by visualizing millions of dollars. Of course, everyone wants to be a millionaire, but it's not believable for many people. And if it's not believable, what you're going to be feeling within you when you do this visualization is, I want that, but I don't think I can really have it. That is going to be a detrimental visualization to you. So you want to pick a sum or pick something to visualize relative to the subject of money that actually makes you feel good, that's believable for you. So that may be $300,000 instead of $1 million. When you put yourself in the space of why you want something, you are pulling yourself vibrationally into alignment with your highest intentions and highest purpose. That allows money to flow to you faster than almost anything else. And most of us never ask the why we want the things we want. That will actually pull you closer to the truth of you and your life. 3, root out and replace your limiting and mixed beliefs relative to the subject of money. You have to shift your relationship and your association relative to money if you want money to flow into your experience. Love of money is not greed. Love of money does not make you shallow. Love of money in and of itself is not wrong. Because money is just a tool, and it can be an incredibly valuable tool for your freedom within this society. Your freedom to achieve what it is that you want. Loving money does not make you a terrible person. This is what happens when people who are chronically poor, who have grown up in households with lack of abundance, have been fed these beliefs like money makes you a terrible person. The reason they're fed those beliefs is because when you're in a space of poverty, it makes you feel better about yourself to believe that there's something inherently negative with the people that have what you want that you don't believe you can have. But if you want money, you can't want money and attract money and at the same time have a negative association with money. That is a vibrational contradiction. So those of you who consider yourself spiritual people and are really on the fence about whether it's okay or moral to line up with abundance and money, have got to get off of that fence and decide that they're going to commit to money. Commit to improving their vibration, commit to adapting a positive attitude relative to money if you want to see it in your life, which we all do. 4, if you're going to spend money, line up with that decision. There's nothing worse than making a decision but pulling back from it vibrationally, i.e. spending money you don't feel good about. So even if you have to spend money on something like bills or like alimony, line up with feeling really good about spending that money. And then you won't be preventing money from coming to you because you won't be focused on the lack or focused on what's being taken from you. You can't do something that you think will detract from your abundance and attract abundance into your life and maintain wealth. It's just an impossibility. So all of you people that have guilt or buyer's remorse need to understand that by using that guilt and by having that buyer's remorse and not lining up with the purchase that you've made, you are literally preventing abundance from flowing into your experience. Buyer's remorse is focus on lack. So if you're ever going to spend money on anything, you have to fully line up with that decision. And then you will not be preventing money, instead you will be allowing money from flowing into your experience. 5. Avoid debt as best as you can. And if you have debt, find ways to eliminate it. You never want to walk yourself into debt, like a mortgage or like car payments, on anything that depreciates. That's just a general rule. Debt makes you feel like you don't have abundance. Debt makes you focus on lack. So, instead of saying you want to avoid it, you want to take every step you can take in your life so as to avoid getting yourself into debt. 6. Follow the white rabbit. Many of you have watched the movie Matrix. In the Matrix, Neo was told to follow the white rabbit. And the white rabbit ended up showing up to him as a tattoo on the back of a woman. And when he followed that, it led to more synchronicities and more coincidences, which eventually led to his fate, or ultimately we could say, desire. Money works the same way. You never want to take action steps to make up for what you lack in focus. Meaning, even if I could be focused on a lot of lack relative to money, focus on how it's not coming to me, and then try to take action steps like go out job hunting, and it will never yield positive results. So what you need to do, instead of taking your action steps first, is to completely line up with finance, like we've been talking about. Shift your beliefs relative to finance. Start doing visualizations relative to finance. And then you want to only take action that is inspired. So action that's inspired will not feel like effort. Action that's inspired will feel really, really good to do. So basically, if you're visualizing and if you're focusing on abundance, you will have opportunities fall into your lap in the form of synchronicities and unexpected coincidences. And you want to just keep sort of following the rabbit. It may not immediately make sense, but the full picture will come into view eventually. You never want to act from a space of need. You want to allow the opportunities to flow to you, and then take any action that feels really, really good to take. So if I'm visualizing abundance and one day I feel inspired to go look at the want ads in the newspaper, that is an inspired action, not an action I'm taking because of my focus on the need for money. This might happen with an idea as well. When you're visualizing and getting yourself into a good space relative to money, an idea might suddenly pop into your head. Now that is an inspired action. If you have an idea pop into your head and then you're inspired to take action on that idea, that is inspired action. That allows the manifestation of your creation into your life. 7. Reframe your life from one of earning to one of deserving. Most people don't believe that they deserve things that they don't earn. Most people alive today don't believe that they deserve something that they don't extend a lot of effort in order to get. This could not be farther from the truth. This could not be more in line with self-hate. We have this idea that entitlement is this horribly negative thing, because entitlement, we think, means that you're taking from somebody else's joy and abundance. But entitlement is something we have to shift our ideas relative to, because the minute that you incarnate onto this planet, you are entitled to receive the manifestation of anything you can dream up. You already deserve it. You already are entitled to it. You are entitled to the reception of anything that you dream up. So you got to shift into an attitude of deserving and self-love in order to get into the vibrational vicinity of feeling as if you can have money the way it was intended to come to you, which is not through the venue of effort, but through the venue of focus and allowing. Take any steps that will help you to release resistance. Releasing resistance is a very complicated thing to explain to people because it's super, super important when it comes to manifesting to release resistance to whatever you're holding resistance to, because holding resistance means you're focused on the very thing you have that resistance to. So, in reference to money, you may have a hell of a lot of resistance to the idea of just spending and spending and spending because you don't believe it's going to flow into your life. So for you, it will decrease your resistance to build up a little bit of a savings account. So whatever it will take for you to release your resistance relative to the subject of money is a positive step for you to take. So releasing resistance may look like creating a budget. Releasing resistance may look like cutting unnecessary expenses, and this is not the same as denying yourself, so it's time to understand that your emotions will tell you the difference between whether you are denying yourself or whether you are taking action steps to cut your unnecessary expenses, which will help you line up with the idea that you are in a space of abundance. It may look like saving some of the money that you make. 9. When manifesting abundance, you have to take note of every single form of abundance that abundance takes. So in the beginning, when you're focusing on money and changing your vibration relative to money and shifting into a space where you line up with money, abundance will flow to you in the form of something like pennies on the street. That's because you're just beginning to allow it to flow into your experience. And later on, that will look more like attracting more and more and more until your full-blown manifestation has come to fruition in your reality. You don't want to take inventory. This is where a lot of people go wrong with manifestation, especially with money. They visualize money, and now suddenly they have so little trust in the universe and their own manifestational capabilities that they start taking inventory too early. So it's like this. If you are going to walk from your house to your next door neighbor's house, you would just trust that if you put one foot in front of the other, that you would eventually be there. However, if you got from your lawn halfway into their lawn, and you started panicking because you're not at their doorstep yet, and started taking inventory of the fact that you are not where you want to be. I'm not on the doorstep. I'm not on their doorstep. Something must have gone terribly wrong because I'm not on their doorstep yet. Without realizing that if you'd walk 3 steps further, you would be on their doorstep, then you are preventing yourself from getting to the thing which you want. The manifestation can't occur until you stop taking inventory and trust the universe that if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, with thoughts this time instead of actual footsteps, the things which you are trying to manifest can't show up for you. So stop taking inventory. You want to do these things which I've set forth for you to do. Trust that it's going to happen. Be focusing on the ways that it's flowing into your experience, and not be focusing on the ways that it isn't yet manifested. 10. There's a very powerful visualization that you can do, where you lay down and you begin by watching the breath. And then you start visualizing yourself like a magnet, but a magnet for money. So you start visualizing that every time you inhale, the money starts flowing to you and sort of sticking to your skin. And then you can visualize, after collecting as much money as you feel like the visualization is telling you to collect, you can visualize collecting that money and then visualize what you're going to do with it. Whether that's put it in a bank account, whether that's put it towards something that you've been wanting. Get very real with this, but you want to start thinking of yourself, which this visualization will help you do, as a magnet to money instead of a place where money goes to die. All right. 11. I recently met with somebody who came into my business who explained that there is a channel who is named Abraham, and they provided this tool for them which helped them a lot relative to money, so I figured I'd share it with you today. The idea basically is that when you get paid, you reserve a bill. So it doesn't matter how much this is. If you don't get paid much, you can do a $10 bill. If you want to, you can do a $20 bill or a $100 bill. Whatever it is, you reserve this bill. And then you spend it mentally all day long throughout your day. So it's kind of a virtual spending spree. So you walk around and you visualize spending it on anything that you see that you want to spend it on. And instead of thinking that once you've spent it, it's gone, you can then pull it out of your pocket again, see it's still there, and continue spending it, as if every time you spend, it gets replaced. This will not only feel good, but it will benefit you in terms of your vibration about money flowing into your experience instead of being this resource which is spent and then it's gone. You can keep increasing the amount too, because you always want it to be available or believable to you. So let's say that you begin with $100 and that's really working well. Then you can extend it and imagine what you would do if you visualized having like a $100,000 check in your pocket and then spending that on a daily basis all day long throughout the day on things you want to buy, like cars and like boats and like houses. This kind of a visualization I've seen work really well for people. Depending on whether they're able to focus on the fact that that dollar bill never is depleted, it continues to be replaced the minute that they virtually mentally spend it. 12. Shift all of your attitudes towards security and towards safety. If the majority of us are pretty honest about money, money looks a lot like safety and security to us. There is nothing wrong with saving or with spending in and of itself, because money can be like air. It can flow into and out of your experience with that much ease. What doesn't work is trying to plan for the disaster and then expecting life to go right for you. Because if you're focused on the disaster when it comes to security, focused on getting money because what happens if this happens in the future and I don't have it, you are attracting the very thing into your experience which you are resisting. You're attracting what you feel insecure about instead of attracting abundance. And while it's good to get yourself into a space where you feel like absolutely nothing can happen to you because you know that you create your own experience, and why would you create anything that's in line with lack of security for yourself? When you're not entirely in that belief yet, when you don't fully believe you create your own experience yet, it may be of benefit to you to focus on security. There's nothing wrong with that. So instead of focusing on the money you need to prevent the disaster, you have to focus on what it would feel like to feel completely secure. That will feel emotionally good to you, which is your indication that that is you lining up with the real you and you lining up with abundance rather than lack. That feeling that a lot of us have when we go to the bank and start amassing this huge collection of money, that feeling of insecurity and hoarding, is your indication that you are trying to hoard money with the focused attention on lack. And that right there is your indication that in your life you're going to attract a whole lot of experiences which strips money from you, a whole lot of experience which brings lack of money into your life. By focusing on the lack of security, and by reinforcing things which make you feel insecure, and focusing on those things, you are a match to the opposite of security. So focus on security. Focus on the security that you desire, what that would look like and feel like to you. You want to take whatever action you are inspired to take based on that type of focus. Based on that, not based on what you're afraid of. If you focus on security, on what it would feel like to feel completely secure, the universe will provide for you whatever conditions are necessary to create that for you. So those are the basic 12 steps which I think are the most important to take in order to manifest money into your life, in order to become the person that you are, which is one that deserves abundance. We all need to stop facing reality. We have to start creating reality instead of facing reality. Because the reality which we're facing is just the manifestation of previous beliefs. And most of you know that our beliefs relative to money are total crap. It does not matter what your situation has been or what your situation is. It can always be and will be different the minute that you make different choices in terms of thought. You cannot feel poor and attract money into your life. So you must begin to soften your focus on anything that makes you feel not abundant. And you need to instead put your attention on anything that makes you feel blessed and that makes you feel gratitude and that makes you feel abundant. This vibrational shift will absolutely guarantee that you will experience the manifestation of money into your life. And it's totally fine for you to want that.